Good morning, August 9th, 2020. Let's make sure we're coming in loud and clear. NASDAQ futures, something we look at every day because that's the symbol we play. We'll see if we can get a S&P out there today. Um, I feel like if you know what's going on with the NASDAQ, you probably know what's going on with the S&P. So probably not as, well, we'll just look. We'll just look at the order of magnitude in terms of the S&P, but commercial's doing a lot different things than they're doing with the NASDAQ right now. So let's jump into the chart. Morning impressions. We've got about 15 minutes or less before the market gets rocking and rolling here and the heavy hitters start moving in. And there's a lot to work with, especially with the overnight session. Oh, and just another note. I've got a Discord server, and we post a lot more information on the Discord server than I do in the channel because a lot develops during the day. So you've got to be adaptive to intraday trades. So there's a lot more information going on in our challenge channel happening down here. Can you $100 to $200 a day in the futures market? We are also starting something called Becoming a Trader. That's just a recollection of my years as a trader. So free to join, no subscription, none of that. There's no paid services. Just this is a running digital account, a journal of mine, something I wanted to do a couple of years ago, and all the data is there. So commercial interest data we post on the regular in our Talk Trade channel. I offer up our summary report to the traders here. So if you don't have the trade indicators, I go in and summarize all the commitment of traders, positions, indexes, something that I picked up the algorithm or the math from Larry Williams in one of Larry Williams's books, one of the handful that he produced. So, and that's free to take. So make your way over into the Discord channel if you want, but let's get into the charts before the heavy hitters move in this morning. So we'll pull up the pro buying divergences. That's the one that I use primarily on the NASDAQ. And what are we looking at right now? So looking at some pivots where price action is right now. Yesterday I said that I didn't want to chase price higher. Seems like on the surface that was a pretty good move. 1 hour divergence was showing up, even though that price action was pushing higher here. We were still maintaining a 1 hour divergence, which was pretty helpful. 2 hour divergence was showing up too, also on the 4 hour, and I didn't notice that there was actually a 12-hour divergence that was showing up. Very minor, but we were diverting for a while until we made this last leg. So we were in a little bit of a divergence, and professional buying looking to get on the other side of that zero line. We'll see what happens today, but no opposing divergences with the exception of the 1 hour. Can this come down a little bit lower? No opposing divergence, bullish divergence on the 2 hour. No opposing divergence to work with on the 4 hour, and we really don't have a heck of a lot to work with on the 12 hour. So that would suggest that, if we get up near that 5 DMA, that looks good for an ask. So without a really good opposing divergence to work with, usually that says stay in the previous divergence, and right now it's a bearish one. So looking at that, we'll pay attention. And one thing that let's move me out of the way. So the 1 hour, we haven't been able to see because my fat face has been in the way most of the time. But this is the rate of change, and I keep that at a value of 24 on the 1 hour. I don't put it on the other time frames, just on the 1 hour to help with the rate of change with price action. So looking at this 4 hour right now, WPR in that oversold territory. So I'm going to get a little bit of bounce action. We've got another 10 minutes before the heavy hitters move in, but let's look at the 1 hour OBV. This looks helpful. So we look like we had some type of support going on with on balance volume on the 1 hour, and then it kind of broke down. So let's see if sellers can continue this now. We are under the control price on the 1 hour. Does our control price match our 2 hour control price? I tried to replicate the channel and make sure it looked the same. I didn't put my deviations from the control price, but this looks like a very minor breakdown of the control price. But we are approaching a couple of pivots, anchored volume and average prices. Here's this one here. I would be most interested to see what this one's going to do, and then there's even an even lower one back here. This is when the run started, so I'll be putting that on there as well. I do believe I have it on the 2. I do not have it on the 2 hour. Right now we're working with a very minor anchored volume and average price. It's a little easier to see on the 10-minute chart, so we'll take a look at that. So here's that 2 hour divergence that was working, and then the 2 hour also showed that resistance, and then looking like we're breaking down. So resistance on the on balance volume, and we're breaking down a little bit, but no real corresponding divergence to work with. We would be working from these two areas, and if it's there, it's very minor. So we'll see what happens underneath control price. Better buying opportunities might exist a little bit further down, so I would be apprehensive to be a buyer anytime soon. If the market's going to come down a little bit, let's watch the confluences near the 1.25 and these anchored volume and average prices. This doesn't mean that buyers can't get silly and push the price higher even with the divergences active, but yesterday's divergences were a good one, and we really paid attention to what was going on the 10-minute. And we'll bring that in, show you what we see. Here's the anchored volume weighted average price from the high. So we are under that now. 5 DMA kind of matching that price. Overnight session, 5 DMA. And here's what we saw yesterday. And this is, I said I didn't want to chase price action higher. It didn't feel right, and I feel like the gut instinct there was a good one. So yesterday's session, here's a couple areas to note. So here was, again, just recapping, that quick test of that 5 DMA and the springboard off of it, and then we came up and retested that, and sellers we got on the other side of it. So we've flipped for the time being. So if we do get a run up here from this 1.25 of the channel, now that we've established it, if we do get a really quick run up here, I would be looking for an ask somewhere down here, because if they're going to regain control, they're going to have to flip that 5 DMA. Could get a little wild. Things are getting wild up in this area, but I am watching the 1.25 of this established channel. It looks pretty decent. This is not a major corrective channel. This is very minor. Again, lower time frame, intraday trading, 5 DMA. We're looking at control prices. Control price, good. It seems pretty good in this area for the time being to work with. And again, in the overnight session, sellers looking like they wanted to get control of the market for the time being. So let's just zoom out a little bit. Here is, right down in here is the pivot in blue, anchored volume and average price. We're right at that. Boy, I feel like if we push the value down to the 2.25 of this very minor corrective channel, this may come into play, which is this anchor down here. So 18-day moving up, we might get a bump and run scenario. How much it's going to sell off, I don't know, but without an opposing divergence, I would be following this down. Here's the 2.25, and that looked good. The upper 2.25, things are getting a little wild. Let's see if they pushed the 2.25 down today, or are buyers just going to respond quickly up to the control price. And these are 3 confluences I'm looking at. Underneath control price, underneath anchored volume and average price from the high, underneath 5 DMA. And there are a couple of corresponding bullish confluences, which is the 1.25, but do they care too much about the 1.25 with the magnitude of selling that, violence of selling that has been happening? This is looking distributive, but this market is tricky. Market's going to do what it wants to do. So bullish wise, potential support area right in here. So we cleared this high out. We're coming back out when we're checking this. We did just tap below that pivot here to clear those out. And let's take a look at morning one session leading into the next. One session leading into the next has a slight bullish, but do you trust that one? We had a slight bullish divergence, one session leading into the next. Well, no, that's not. We weren't making lower lows here. So that wasn't a really that helpful divergence. That's wrong. One session leading into the next, we're making higher highs. Where are we one session into the next? And we're diverting just a little bit. And was it helpful? That one's tough. The magnitude of that one was tough, but we did pierce that high and make a lower low one session into the next. So let's take a look. What are we doing now? Making lower lows. One session in the next, we have a bullish divergence. They're gonna, maybe they'll push this up today and get a retest. And if we get over that control price, I would be concerned. But my ask is up here, probably near that 5 DMA. We'll see what they open. 125. I got a feeling could start the morning out with a bid, and then we would want to get back on the other side. And we're looking at the last two previous sessions. A lot of whipping back and forth, a lot of whipping back and forth, a lot of moves, a lot of money moving. Market's just about to open in 1 minute, so I'm getting the charts. I was a little late to the party yesterday, but we're not going to be late to the party today. And we're going to see how price action opens. So thanks for tuning in. Stop into the Discord. We post a lot of intraday charts in there, stuff that I can't do quite regularly on YouTube. So Discord server is in the description down below, and come and join the discussion and grab some free stuff. See you on the next one.